Welcome to this week's Property Elite podcast. Stay tuned each week for industry hot topics, market updates, and new RICS guidance. In this week's blog, we focus on the APC pathways. Chartered surveyors work across the life cycle of built and natural environments. Frequently, we work alongside and collaborate with other professionals, such as architects, structural engineers, bankers, ecologists, town planners, property developers, parish councils, MPs, and senior managers. Surveying roles are traditionally split into three main sectors: construction and infrastructure, property and land. The construction and infrastructure sector typically relates to the physical construction and building of infrastructure, for example, roads, bridges, railways, energy supplies and telecoms, and the buildings themselves. The property sector includes both residential, domestic, and commercial, non-domestic buildings, as well as trading businesses and personal property, for example, fine art and antiques. And the land sector relates to town and environmental planning, climate change, and resource use. Thus, it is clear that surveying is a diverse profession with many areas of potential specialism. You may work within many different areas of practice during your career, sometimes starting off in wide general practice roles and later choosing to specialise. Or you might start your career in a niche role and quickly become a specialist in that area until you retire. Generally, you will find a role and special in which interests that motivate you, rather than becoming siloed within one specific area of practice. This therefore allows for personal and professional growth and development, resulting in an ongoing, rewarding and engaging career. There are 20 APC sector-specific pathways, and they are building control, building surveying, facilities management, geomatics, infrastructure, land and resources, project management, quantity surveying and construction, valuation, commercial real estate, residential, corporate real estate, environmental surveying, management consultancy, minerals and waste management, personal property, arts and antiques, research, rural, taxation allowances, and finally, valuation of businesses and intangible assets. RICS is also piloting 2 new APC pathways as part of its innovation programme: MRICS Sustainability Advisory and MRICS Data Analytics and Intelligence. This aims to future-proof the APC process and provide opportunities for qualification in new areas of practice. If the pathway pilots are successful, then it is hoped that the new pathways will be launched by RICS in 2025. If you qualify via the pilot pathway and the pathway is not then subsequently launched, you will still retain your MRICS status. Moving on, you must choose a pathway which most closely reflects your current experience, role and knowledge. This is because each pathway includes a specific range of technical competencies and you will need to demonstrate your practical experience and advice. Your career can be more dynamic than this though. For example, if you qualified on the building surveying pathway, in the future you can still work in another sector or on different types of instruction. This will depend on if you become sufficiently skilled and experienced to do so and have appropriate professional indemnity insurance cover. This means that someone who qualified as a building surveyor could eventually become employed as a quantity surveyor or move into property development, for example. You just need to think ahead and plan your training, supervision and development. Assisting or shadowing another chartered surveyor can be a great way to gain experience of new areas of practice. You should refer back to the relevant pathway guide when considering how the core and optional technical competencies fit with your role and experience. This is because similarly titled competencies may have different descriptions, knowledge, or required experience based on the specific pathway. There are also some competencies with titles that may need further investigation or reading, for example, big data or business case, so that you can understand what is required of you. Let's take a look at some of the more popular pathways. If you check out our website, you will find a diagram showing the pathway requirements. Building surveying. Building surveying encompasses a wide range of advice on property and construction, including specialist areas such as party walls, rights of light, dilapidations and conservation. The core technical competencies include building pathology, construction technology and environmental services, contract administration, design specification, inspection, legal and regulatory compliance, and fire safety. There are many other areas of experience with technical competencies, and the full list can be found on our website. Commercial real estate. Commercial real estate is typically split into a number of subsectors: retail, offices, industrial and leisure. However, there are many emerging alternative sectors and subsectors, including flexible serviced offices, as well as logistics and distribution centres. Chartered surveyors in this sector are sometimes known as general practice surveyors, i.e. they advise on a wide range of instruction types and sectors. Others focus specifically on areas of advice, such as for agencies, purchase, sale, leasing and letting, property management, landlord and tenant, also known as lease advisory or lease consultancy, or even professional services in more traditional firms, telecoms, valuation, investment and development. There are 3 core technical competencies that include inspection, measurement and valuation. For the full list of technical competencies, please head to our website. On this pathway, 30% of your experience can come from other property sectors, for example residential or rural. This reflects the fact that many properties and portfolios are of mixed use, for example not solely comprising of commercial buildings. When choosing your optional technical competencies on the commercial real estate pathway, don't fall foul of this common pitfall, which can lead to RICS rejecting your submission as being invalid. Essentially, when selecting your technical optional competencies, you can take a mandatory competency to a higher level, level 3, in your level 3 section. However, you can only take one of these to level 3, accounting principles and procedures, or conflict avoidance, management and dispute resolutions, or data management, or sustainability. This means you cannot take data management and sustainability to level 3, for example. This is probably the most common combination of invalid competencies that commercial real estate candidates try to select. Where you see the 1 to level 3 or 2 to level 2, or amended selection if you take valuation to level 3, selection on the right-hand side of the technical optional competencies, you cannot select any of the above for 4 mandatory competencies again, i.e. you have already selected one of the mandatory competencies as one of your 3 to level 3 optional choices, then you cannot select one of the others, indicated by OR, again in your optimal plus selection. This prevents you from selecting more than one of the above 4 mandatory competencies as a technical optional competency to a higher level. Similar provisions apply in any of the other pathway guides where the terminology OR is used. Corporate real estate. Corporate real estate, CRE, sounds very similar to commercial real estate. However, the 2 pathways are very different. Both involve advising on commercial property matters though. CRE relates to advising on the entire life cycle of a property portfolio, typically owned by a private or public sector organisation. This can include advising on strategic planning, portfolio analysis, property requirements and management of a portfolio. The aim is to optimise occupational costs and maximise the utilisation of available space. This typically requires an in-depth understanding of wider business objectives and operational requirements to ensure alignment with the property portfolio. There is also crossover between CRE and facilities management, particularly in relation to advising on operational costs and use of space. The core technical competencies include business alignment, strategical real estate consultancy, business case, landlord and tenant, property management, and valuation. A full list of competencies can be found on our website. Residential. Chartered surveyors specialising in the residential sector, i.e. housing or domestic uses, may provide advice on a wide range of instructions such as disposals, acquisitions, management, development, investment and valuation. Roles may be found across a wide range of organisations, including in the private sector, block management, social housing, housing developers and local authorities. There may be an element of crossover with the role of a building surveyor, particularly where a Level 3 building survey is instructed as part of a residential sale or purchase instruction. Chartered surveyors dealing with this type of work need a strong understanding of construction, building pathology and defects analysis. Core technical competencies include building pathology, housing maintenance, repairs and improvements, housing management and policy, housing strategy and provision, inspection, leasing and letting, legal and regulatory compliance, market appraisal, measurement, property management, purchase and sale, and valuation. For a full list of technical competencies, please head to our website. Valuation. Valuers are involved with a wide variety of property assets and provide valuations for purposes such as secured lending, financial reporting, agency, and internal decision making. Core technical competencies involve other areas of experience taken from other pathways, such as commercial real estate and residential, but also include inspection, valuation, and measurement. In conclusion, it is important to select the pathway that most accurately reflects your role and experience. Don't select an aspirational or unachievable pathway, as it will limit your chances of success. With the right pathway and competency selection, you will find it simple to select good level 2 and 3 examples and an appropriate case study topic. This is key to being successful in your APC final assessment and becoming a chartered surveyor. Thanks for listening to this week's Property Elite podcast. Head to our website to check out the full blog, and here you will find free and paid support resources and services. We offer a free consultation for every single RICS APC and Associate RICS candidate, or you can ask us any questions you have via the online chat. See you next week.